This is Speak of the Devils on AZ Family Sports.
Welcome to Speak of the Devils, the premier TV show for Sun Devil football. I'm Brad Denny with 3TV.
And I'm Joe Healey with DevilsDigest.com.
Woo, Joe, that was a heck of a way to start a season.
Man, these last 2 years have been tough for Sun Devil fans. And though we both expected a win in Week 1 against Wyoming, we did not see that coming. A 48-7 tail whipping of the Cowboys in Tempe. It was a fun night to lift the lid on this 2024 season.
Yeah, the Devils are now 1-0 with an impressive victory and some positive momentum. Some buzz is building here in the Valley. Now, we've talked all offseason long that, this might be a better Sun Devil team than perhaps the Big 12 media, the national media are pointing out. Now, granted, the one-game caveat, so you can't get too excited, but you really have to like what you see what ASU was able to do against a pretty solid Wyoming team. And really, they got things, did not waste any time, getting a pick six on the game's second play, part of a masterful defensive effort on the night.
Yeah, the tone was set by Arizona State from the jump. You saw team speed on defense. You saw them attack the football. You saw them attack the ball in the air. ASU struggled mightily last year in getting turnovers, and they got a couple in the early going, including that pick six. Wyoming was really knocked out of this game within the first few minutes of the contest. They just honestly could not really function, could not execute, got to the point where you could see they were frustrated, committing some kind of boneheaded penalties. It was all ASU all night there in Tempe.
Yeah, we've drawn some parallels over the offseason to the 2012 Sun Devil season, the quarterback battle, lot of new faces, a relatively new coach. But there was some very interesting elements there that kind of give you the flashbacks, the attacking, swarming defense, a quarterback wearing number 10, running around, making plays, and just kind of dominance at home and disciplined. Not a whole lot of flags thrown on the Sun Devils. That's another departure from last year in a positive direction. But yeah, just starting off on the defense, Joe, they're just 118 yards allowed, and 74 of those came on the final real super garbage time of the game. 2 seconds away from a shutout. This was in many regards one of the best defensive performances we've seen in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, for a good chunk of the game, Wyoming had more penalty yardage than they had yards of total offense. And so that tells you something right there. ASU's defense, we, again, had high expectations for them, and they really answered that bell in game one. There are a lot of names deserving of credit, but none more than Keyshawn Elliott, the New Mexico State transfer who had been given a lot of praise over the offseason for his leadership and performance. He got it done from the opening bell. He's someone that's looking like a big-time player for ASU.
Yeah, he's wearing the green dot. Of course, Helmet Communications are now part of college football, and he's the quarterback of that Sun Devil defense. And, man, he played a masterful game. And Cyrus Viaseu, another transfer at linebacker, had that pick six. Justin Watley, a Cincinnati transfer, later scored a defensive touchdown on a fumble recovery. So new faces are making an immediate impact for the Sun Devil defense. Now it's augmenting a returning core that has Xavion Alford, Elijah O'Neal, Clayton Smith, guys like that, CJ Fight as well. So we thought the defense would be good, Joe, but I didn't know that they'd be like flat out dominant this early on.
Yeah, every time they got to the ball, the guy went down. You didn't really see many, if any, broken tackles. ASU was executing at the point of the attack, driving guys backward, just, again, setting the tone from a very early point that Wyoming was just not going to have their way with this Sun Devil defense.
All right, let's switch things over to the offensive side of the ball. 499 yards. That'll do. That's pretty good. 241 of those are on the ground, but really the story there and all the attention and eyes were on Sam Levitt, ASU's new starting quarterback, the redshirt freshman, making his first career start. Overall, just a flat-out excellent showing. Did not put the ball in jeopardy. Job number one of any quarterback, especially in this system, but also one who made plays. He was able to attack downfield, make plays with his legs, threw a couple touchdowns for good measure as well.
Yeah, he had a very efficient game. 14 out of 22 passing, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also had a net of 47 rushing yards, averaging almost 6 yards per carry. I know we always lean into that Taylor Kelly comparison because he's a mobile quarterback wearing number 10, and all he did was help that narrative, kind of looking like TK out there. But, man, another story about this ball game was how this group of running backs hit things going, man. They were running with ferocity. They were attacking. They were the aggressors. You saw multiple runs last Saturday where when the contact was made, it was the Sun Devil ball carrier driving himself into the defender and taking him an extra yard or so. It wasn't the Devils getting stuffed for losses or getting stopped short in their tracks, anything like that. Those running backs were hungry, and there were several of them out there. And ASU's not even throwing all their guys out yet. Really impressive game on the ground for ASU.
Cameron Skattebo, Carlos Brooks are bringing the thunder, and Kyson Brown had the nice catch and run for a 68-yard touchdown, bringing some excitement. Raleek Brown, the USC transfer, he might be back in the lineup this week to add even further depth. You even saw true freshman Jason Brown get in late in that second half and break off some impressive runs. Now, the passing game didn't necessarily have to get going too much given the large lead, but still some impressive showings by guys like Jordan Tyson, Jake Smith, tight end Shimon Mateer had a nice catch and run for a touchdown. Now, I think offensively there were some concerns still in the offensive tackles, giving up a couple sacks. So we'll see now that they're probably going to be facing some tougher and more athletic defenses if that holds up. But overall, top to bottom, really just about a great way, and hard to critique the performance in the opener.
Yeah, the only real questions that come to mind, likely on special teams in the kick game, there were some missed field goals that are otherwise makeable. So ASU did leave some points on the board. Another name we got to throw out there, Kyson Brown. You talk about catch and run. That screen pass was a thing of beauty. He almost had 100 all-purpose yards. So again, wall-to-wall, bell-to-bell, a very impressive performance by Arizona State. But you got to close that chapter, move on to the next one, because a very difficult opponent coming to town this weekend.
Yeah, a little bit later on in the show, we're going to be previewing ASU's matchup against an SEC opponent. Mississippi State is coming to town. They're coming off a big-time victory to open up their season. This is an opportunity for ASU to maybe shift the narrative a little bit. But coming up after the break, we're going to be talking to a Sun Devil who has waited a long time to make his debut. We'll be talking to safety Xavion Alford. Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. Xavion Alford is one of ASU's top defenders and team leaders, and Saturday was his first game in over 1,000 days. Needless to say, it was an emotional night.
What did it feel like being back on the field Saturday night?
Man, it felt great. Obviously, 1,000 days coming out, first game, for it really was a shutout. It really was a shutout. But honestly, it was just good just being out there, moving around, flowing, just getting back in that game, feeling. And I'm really excited for this week. I'm really excited just to get back out there. Like, I feel like that first game, I kind of got the jitters out, and it feel like I'm just back in season mode too. So it was just a blessing to see Jake out there smiling, running around, catching passes over the middle, running fast, doing what he usually does. So just all the hard work and dedication, dark days that we put in last year in the weight room, every day coming out here like, man, we want a taste of it. Now we finally in it, so we just gonna try to keep building off of it.
Your team opened a lot of eyes Saturday. Did they open your eyes? Were you surprised?
Nah, my eyes been open on this team since I got here. I mean, I know the work. Like I told them in the pregame speech, like we put in all the work. Everybody in this locker room, we put in the work, so it don't matter what's outside the locker room, the crowd, lights, fans, anything. It's just about us executing on every play, and just having each other's back like we did all camp. We pushed each other all camp. Like this probably was the hardest camp I ever been through in the years I've been in college. So I was really excited to get out there Saturday and go full speed. And as you seen, like it was ugly for the other team. So we just gonna keep building on that.
You got to speak to the team before the game. Talk about how did that make you feel, and what did you tell them?
I mean, it just made me feel like myself. Honestly, a guy that hasn't played in 1,000 days. You kind of got to be a self-starter. So even when I'm talking to the team, I'm kind of talking to myself too, trying to get myself going. So I look at myself as a motivational and inspirational guy, with my story and everything. So I try to spread that amongst my teammates and light a fire under them to keep going, because at the end of the day, we all out there together. So I know we all got the same mindset that no matter what happens, good, bad, or ugly, we all gonna be all right.
So you're out there taking that field for that first snap. And what are the emotions, as you're waiting for that ball to be hiked?
Man, it was real emotional, just especially me being in the back, like just roaming by myself, kind of locking into the game. It was just like, man, like like I don't know. It's just really inspirational for me, because obviously nobody's seen kind of what I went through. Like it was a lot of long nights, hard nights where I was like, man. And there was some times where I wanted to give up, but just me knowing that somebody's out there watching, some kid, some teammate, some maybe grown up adult, just going through adversity and just being able to battle through that 1,000 days, 1,000 days of doing something, you don't get the results you want to do. Most people will quit and give up, but that's the type of person I am, dedicated, motivated. So just getting back out there in that field, it felt great. Like I said, I'm excited to get out there this week.
How many hits or how many plays did it for that kind of, that emotion maybe subside, just to feel like it's football again?
Really one. Really took one play. Once I seen, and to be honest, I really don't think when I'm in the game, really. I kind of just do all my thinking in the week, preparing, and I kind of just flow. So once I see, the running back bounce out with the ball, I'm kind of just following them, just kind of floating around. So it felt good just being out there. Like I said, I'm so excited to, play, I guess, competition, just get out there and play real football. So
how gratifying was it to see the defense just dominate from the jump? Obviously the early turnovers, but then just like all game long putting the clamps on them.
Man, it was great because, this defense, like we sat and talked in the dark, with each other, like, man, about where we really could be. And we really want to be a top defense in the country, like, no ifs, ands, or buts. So, that starts today. Like I tell the team, like, you win the game throughout the week. You don't just show up on Saturday and win the game. Like, it's about how you practice, the preparation. So, defense-wise, we got guys like Zars, Keyshawn, any room. I'm super confident walking out there with any room, any group. However deep we are, like, it doesn't matter. I know the defense, the mentality that we have, just talking to those guys, we all are like, they're my brothers, and I love going to war with them.
It's going to be ramping up this week against Mississippi State. Jeff Levy offense, high, fast pace, like to throw that ball around a lot. What are some of the things that really kind of jumped out to you in your preparation?
Really just, getting lined up. I feel like, with these guys, like I said, my brothers on defense, I feel like as long as we get lined up, it don't matter if the New England Patriots is in front of us. Like, I feel like we could, get the job done with all those guys, like 1 through however many on defense, 33, like all the way to the 3 deep. I feel like we can line up and play with anybody, the best in the country. So just stand on those guys about our preparation, like being prepared, and then when we go out there, just doing it full speed, live bullets.
What are the keys, like going up against and trying to slow down a really up-tempo team like that?
Like I said, really just getting lined up. I feel like as long as we get lined up, we're gonna be fine. Like we kind of know what to expect. Watching film like over the weeks, and then at the end of the day, just showing up when the lights is bright. Like this time for us to make history. First we could be the first ASU team to beat the SEC team. So like I take that as a challenge. So I'm gonna challenge the guys, and we're gonna try to step up to this challenge.
Is that something you guys have been talking a lot about?
No, not really. Like it don't matter. Like I said, it don't matter if the New England Patriots came through here. Like I'm gonna preach the same thing to the guys. Just being tough, being smart, the team and the ball. That's what Coach Dillingham implemented into this culture. And I told him before the game, like that's what we did. We changed the culture. Obviously, as you can see, coming out like that with the first game, but that means nothing at all. Like, gotta keep moving on, keep getting better each week, and no matter who it is, we're gonna do our job.
How much of a factor was the crowd? Obviously, the student section was packed, but the crowd throughout was pretty good.
It was really loud out there. It was sometimes, you can't hear each other. You screaming. You could be this close, screaming, trying to get the calls and stuff, get lined up, but they really don't know how much of an impact they make. Like that atmosphere, that just makes us, this amp up. The energy in there, it was great. Especially after this guy Zars, that first touchdown, just being back there in the post, and I just heard it erupted. Like it was like an earthquake, and I was like, man, that's great. So we want that feeling to stay in that stadium for a long time. So we're gonna keep doing our job, keep coming out here preparing each and every week, to get that job done on Saturdays.
So Kenny said that you do a much better job than him in the pregame speech.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I know I do. He gets a little emotional, but I do as well. But it's it's different coming from a player. Like coaches can get you motivated, but the players play. Obviously, me being a leader, like I said, being a guy that they seen go through adversity. So I feel like my voice kind of carries more, like, just them watching me, just like, man, he's been through stuff, he's worked through it, like, so, like, that's just being battle tested. That's what we breed here, basically. You want to be an adversity response team.
How special was it for you to get to ring that victory bell?
It was very special, it was an honor, just first game back, especially them choosing me. It was real special, and we plan on bringing it a lot more, this season. But it was a great honor for me, and I love these guys, I love the teammate, Coach Dillingham, I love the school, Tempe, everything, so it was just great.
Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. Saturday night saw the Sun Devil rushing attack put up 241 yards. Now, as we've talked about all offseason long, ASU has no shortage of quality running backs. To Carlos Brooks, a true freshman, Jason Brown, Alton McCaskill, Kyson Brown joined in the touchdown parade as well. But atop that depth chart is still Cam Skattebo, the wily veteran. This year, he's not going to be asked to play quarterback and punter as much, but he is still one of the key components to the Sun Devil offensive attack. after Tuesday's practice. I had a chance to catch up with him, get his thoughts on the win on Saturday and what it means moving forward.
Last year, even after we won, so it was good to see. I mean, the confidence is high right now. We just need to make sure we keep our heads screwed on straight and focus on each week one at a time.
You said something along the lines after the game, like, this is a different team. You guys saw it, I felt, you kind of heard that. How nice was it to see that, to know that you guys have turned that page and things are truly different?
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, we executed on all cylinders. Defense, I mean, just like last year, played their butts off. And offense finally got it going. We had a lot to work on coming out of last year, and bringing Sam in and bringing Jeff in and having guys that come in and fulfill those shoes and being able to make plays. Number 10 did a great job, and I mean, you see the difference now.
What's it going to be like to build on that?
I mean, we're here to play, you know. We're not going to be here to take lightly. That team probably came in here thinking we were going to be terrible. And people can't think that anymore because we have a team with us. We have a tight team, guys that like each other, and guys that want to play football for Coach Dillingham and for each other.
What the excitement level is playing an SEC team on your home field Saturday?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is playing another team. We get the opportunity to play another team, no matter who it is. We played the Mountain West team last week, like we were playing an SEC team. So we're ready to battle against whoever we play, and we're hoping that, you know, whoever steps in front of us, we can defeat and take on.
How did you grade Pete's carry offensively?
Oh, all right. We had talked about that. I'm gonna no comment on that one.
And then the student section here, it's going to be a rowdy crowd. That's not going to be like,
yeah, I mean,
set a record probably.
Almost setting a record last week, and then potentially doing it this week. That'd be awesome. You know, the more we win, the more people are going to show up, and with all the students coming and 14,000 fans come out, just them alone, you know, brings a loud crowd to the roar. I mean, loud roar to the crowd. So, I mean, I'm excited to hopefully break it, and if we do, then congrats to them. We still got more games to play, so let's keep it going.
Seeing the rest of the guys in that running back room really kind of contributed. Tyson and DeCarlos getting in the end zone as well. Jason even doing some good things. Well, how did you see your evaluation of the rest of the running backs?
I mean, I told you in spring ball, you know, I told everyone in spring ball that we have 5 guys in that backfield that can play football. And even now with Jason Brown in there, that kid can play. He's not scared of nobody. He's athletic. He can play football. Like, he's a good ball player. Just developing and getting those guys out there is just the biggest part. And I mean, they all played great. You know, Sip did an excellent job coming in. DeCarlos, great job. I mean, you can't really downplay any of them. They all touched the ball 5+ times, and they all did something with the ball. So I'm super happy for those guys, and super excited to see what they're going to do in the future.
You made a comment after the game that it was kind of nice, getting out in the third quarter on a positive note, and just having guys that can maybe help you carry that load. What kind of impact do you expect to have that as kind of the season and the grind wears on?
Yeah, it's huge because taking the ball 30 times a game and taking 300 snaps a game, or 300 snaps a week in practice, and then going out in the game and taking 100 snaps, and it's hard on your body. So having those guys not only in the game but in practice is huge because we're all rotating. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody's getting the hang of things, and I mean, it's huge having those guys because they're here for me and I'm here for them.
What do you think that win on Saturday night kind of said maybe to people that maybe were a little skeptical about the Sun Devil team?
I mean, we're 1-0, I look at it as 0-0. That was a Mountain West team. We're a Big 12 team. We're supposed to beat that team. That's not a win that we should be excited about. But even though we got the win, we still have another week to play. Now it's an SEC opponent, so we go from Mountain West to SEC. So we'll see how that plays out.
What jumps out to you in your early preparation about this Mississippi State defense?
They're big. They're physical. We just got to work hard. We got to play our brand of football. I'm not worried about anybody else who we play against. If our offense and defense worries about ourselves and we do our jobs right, there's not many people that can beat us.
What are going to be the keys to keeping up that momentum and the offensive success that you guys had on Saturday?
Just working every day. If you're constantly working and getting people to see you, and you have your teammates on your backside working just as hard as you are, it comes along.
Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. Now, Brad, that opening night win against Wyoming, that was a big deal. But I think a lot of folks would argue that this upcoming opponent, it just means more. We're talking about SEC football coming to town, folks. Mississippi State clashing with the Sun Devils. The first time these two teams have ever met on the gridiron. ASU is 0-5 all-time against active members of the Southeastern Conference. We'll see if that fate will change this Saturday for ASU. Mississippi State 5-7 a year ago. They are under first-year head coach Jeff Lebby, who came over after formerly being the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Oklahoma, and before that at Ole Miss. So they're expected to have some more offensive firepower this year than in the past. They were picked next to last in the preseason SEC poll, but they got their season off to a win 56-7 over FCS opponent Eastern Kentucky. A lot of new faces here for Mississippi State, starting with the quarterback one. An interesting storyline, Blake Shapen, transferred to Mississippi State from Baylor. In high school, he was a verbal commit of Arizona State. He had a very solid game week one, 247 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he led the team in rushing with 44 yards and a touchdown.
It's going to be a good challenge for the ASU defense, especially that linebacker group, because not only do you have to worry about his strong arm, but he's showing off that athleticism, a guy who can make plays with his feet, so you got to be pretty disciplined when he's moving around in the pocket.
And they had some receivers with some standout performances last week. Jordan Mosley, 5 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown. He only had 5 combined catches the last 2 years, so a breakout game for him. Kevin Coleman, formerly a signee of Jackson State as a 4-star recruit under Deion Sanders when he was there at that FCS program. He came over to Mississippi State from Louisville a year ago. He had 205 all-purpose yards, including 5 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. True freshman Mario Craver had a 54-yard touchdown for the Bulldogs as well. So there is some firepower, new players in the fold. It will be a solid test for ASU's defense.
Absolutely. And if there was one critique for ASU's defense from last Saturday, it's that the cornerbacks really weren't tested, and they're still kind of an inexperienced, unproven group. So they're going to have their hands full against this very talented group of wide receivers, probably the most improved unit on the Mississippi State offense.
A lot of turnover personnel-wise on defense for the Bulldogs. They lost 7 of their top 8 tacklers from a year ago. All 3 players they had picked in the NFL draft in 2024 came from the defensive side. So that is an area, as you'll hear on our podcast version of the show, of potential concern for Mississippi State. That's an area that ASU might be able to take advantage of. We're going to give you our keys of the game and our scoreboard prediction. Brad and I agree on one key. I know ASU needs to control the pace in this game.
Yeah, when you're looking at ASU's offense, you have the run game success, 241 yards a week ago. Mississippi State lost a lot up front, and with ASU's depth in the backfield, this could be something where they can grind out those yards, make some plays, but also keep Mississippi State's offense off the field.
A second key for me is ASU can't lose the quarterback battle. And I worded that way for a reason. You don't necessarily have to win it. Sam Levin doesn't have to go out and throw 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, but you just can't be making those costly errors that can prove to be a deciding factor in the game.
Key number 2 for me is, again, going back to ASU's cornerbacks. They really need to be able to step up. Keith Abney, Javen Robinson, and LaTerrence Welch all had some good moments in the opener, but generally they weren't facing the level of competition that they're going to be seeing on Saturday night against Mississippi State, so they better be ready.
My third and final key, you got to focus, continue to attack. The Tuesday practice for Arizona State this week, Kenny Dillingham had some choice words. He was not happy with the effort. You can't get full of yourself. You can't get arrogant after a big win in week 1. You got to turn that page forward and focus on the team at hand. They do that, they should be in good shape.
Probably the most dispiriting element of ASU's win over Wyoming, the special teams. 2 missed field goals, some missed opportunities to flip the field in the punt game. If you're going to be able to kind of reverse the narrative this season, special teams has got to step up.
We'll talk about how we see this playing out. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a tight game, but we're going to get Mountain America Stadium rocking. I think ASU exits the ball game with a 31-24 victory.
I also see this as an ASU win. I think ASU's run game is going to be able to get those yards, keep the Mississippi State offense off the field, because I think the Bulldogs are going to be able to score. It's going to be a fun back and forth affair, but ultimately ASU comes out on top 34-28. Make sure you download our full podcast version with some great guests, including Cameron Skattebo and Xavion Alford as well. And also be sure to join us next week as we look back at this big battle against the SEC. Look ahead to Texas State.